You may have heard me say before that if there is a God, it's most undoubtedly Friedrich Nietzsche, at least in the literary world. His book, Human, is one of his many epic works, but I'd like to focus on just the preface today for our Sunday service. This preface is so beautiful and so powerful. I've read it many times, and it's just simply the preface. The book hasn't even really started. So I'm here in section 3 of the preface of Human All Too Human, originally published in 1878. And Nietzsche is one of my idols and heroes, and here we are. Section 3 of the preface of Human All Too Human. It may be conjectured that a soul in which the type of free spirit can attain maturity and completeness had its decisive and deciding event in the form of a great emancipation or unbinding, and that prior to that event it seemed only the more firmly and forever chained to its place and pillar. What binds strongest? What cords seem almost unbreakable? In the case of mortals of a choice and lofty nature, they will be those of duty, that reverence which in youth is most typical, that timidity and tenderness in the presence of the traditionally honored and the worthy, that gratitude to the soil from which we sprung, for the hand that guided us, for the relic before which we were taught to pray. Their sublimest moments will themselves bind these souls most strongly. The great liberation, comes suddenly to such prisoners like an earthquake. The young soul is all at once shaken, torn apart, cast forth. It comprehends not itself what is taking place. An involuntary onward impulse rules them with the mastery of command. A will, a wish are developed to go forward, anywhere, at any price. A strong, dangerous curiosity regarding an undiscovered world flames and flashes in all their being. Better to die than live here, so sounds the tempting voice, and this here, this at home, constitutes all they have hitherto loved. A sudden dread and distrust of that which they loved, a flash of contempt for that which is called their duty, a mutinous, willful, volcanic-like longing for a faraway journey, strange scenes and people, annihilation, petrification, a hatred surmounting love, perhaps a sacrilegious impulse and look backwards to where they so long prayed and loved, perhaps a flush of shame for what they did, and at the same time an exultation at having done it, an inner intoxicating, delightful tremor in which is betrayed the sense of victory. A victory over what? Over whom? A riddle-like victory, fruitful in questioning and well worth questioning, but the first victory for all. Such things of pain and ill belong to the history of the great liberation. And it is at this time a malady that can destroy a man, this first outbreak of strength and will for self-destination, self-valuation, this will for free will, and how much illness is forced to the surface in the frantic strivings and singularities with which the freedman, the liberated, seeks henceforth to attest his mastery over things. He roves fiercely around with an unsatisfied longing, and whatever objects he may encounter must suffer from the perilous expectancy of his pride. He tears to pieces whatever attracts him. With a sardonic laugh, he overturns whatever he finds veiled or protected by a reverential awe. He would see what these things look like when they are overturned. It is willfulness and delight in the willfulness of it. If he now, perhaps, gives his approval to that which has heretofore been in ill repute, if in curiosity and experiment he penetrates stealthily to the most forbidden things. In the background during all his plunging and roaming, for he is at restless and aimless in his course, as if lost in a wilderness, is the interrogation mark of a curiosity growing ever more dangerous. Can we not upset every standard? And is good perhaps evil? And God only an invitation and a subtlety of the devil? Is everything, in the last resort, false? And if we are dupes, are we not on that very account dupers also? Must we not be dupers also? Such reflections lead and mislead him, ever further on, ever further away. Solitude, that dread goddess and master saviour Cupidinum, encircles and besets him, ever more threatening, more violent, more heartbreaking, but who today knows what solitude is? From this morbid solitude, from the deserts of such trial years, the way is yet far to that great, overflowing certainty and healthiness which cannot dispense even with sickness as a means and a grappling hook of knowledge, to that matured freedom of the spirit which is, in an equal degree, self-mastery and discipline of the heart, and gives access to the path of much and various reflection, to that inner comprehensiveness and self-satisfaction of over-richness, which precludes all danger that the spirit has gone astray, even in its own path, and is sitting intoxicated in some corner or other, to that overplus of plastic, healing, imitative, and restorative power which is the very sign of vigorous health, that overplus which confers upon the free spirit the perilous prerogative of spending a life in experiment and of running adventurous risks, the past master privilege of the free spirit. In the interval there may be long years of convalescence, years filled with many hued, painfully bewitching transformations, dominated and led to the goal by a tenacious will for health that is often emboldened to assume the guise and the disguise of health. There is a middle ground to this, which a man of such destiny cannot subsequently recall without emotion. He basks in a special fine sun of his own, with a feeling of bird-like freedom, bird-like visual power, bird-like irrepressibleness, a something extraneous in which curiosity and delicate disdain have united. A free spirit, this refreshing term is grateful in any mood, it almost sets one aglow. One lives no longer in the bonds of love and hate, without a yes or no, here or there indifferently, best pleased to evade, to avoid, to beat about, neither advancing nor retreating. One is habituated to the bad, like a person who all at once sees a fearful hurly-burly beneath him, and one was the counterpart of him who bothers himself with things that do not concern him. As a matter of fact, the free spirit is bothered with mere things, and how many things, which no longer concern him. A step further in recovery, and the free spirit draws near to life again. Slowly indeed, almost refractorily, almost distrustfully. There is again warmth and mellowness. Feeling and fellow feeling acquire depth. Lambent airs stir all about him. He almost feels, it seems as if now, for the first time, his eyes are open to things near. He is in a maze, and sits hushed. For where had he been? These near and immediate things, how changed they seem to him. He looks gratefully back, grateful for his wandering, his self-exile and severity, his lookings afar and his bird flights in the cold heights. How fortunate that he has not, like a sensitive, dull homebody, remained always in the house and at home. He had been beside himself beyond a doubt. Now for the first time he really sees himself, and what surprises in the process. What hitherto unfelt tremors, yet what joy in the exhaustion, the old sickness, the relapses of the convalescent. How it delights him, suffering, to sit still, to exercise patience, to lie in the sun. Who so well as he appreciates the fact that there comes balmy weather even in winter, who delights more in the sunshine athwart the wall. They are the most appreciative creatures in the world, and also the most humble, these convalescents and lizards crawling back towards life. There are some among them who cannot let no day slip past them without addressing some song of praise to its retreating light. And speaking seriously, it is a fundamental cure for all pessimism, the cankerous vice, as is well known, of all idealists and humbugs. To become ill in the manner of these free spirits, to remain ill quite a while, and then bit by bit grow healthier. It is wisdom, worldly wisdom, to administer even health to oneself for a long time in small doses. About this time it becomes at last possible, amid the flashlights of a still unestablished, still precarious health, for the free, the ever-free spirit to begin to read the riddle of that great liberation, a riddle which has hitherto lingered, obscure, well worth questioning, almost impalpable in his memory. If once he hardly dared to ask, why so apart, so alone, renouncing all I loved, renouncing respect itself, why this coldness, this suspicion, this hate for one's very virtues? Now he dares and asks it loudly, already hearing the answer. You had to become master over yourself, master of your own good qualities. Formerly they were your masters, but they should be merely your tools along with other tools. You had to acquire power over your I, and know and learn to hold and withhold them in accordance with your higher aims. You had to grasp the perspective of every representation, the dislocation, distortion, and the apparent end or teleology of the horizon, besides whatever else appertains to the perspective, also the element of demerit in its relation to opposing merit, and the whole intellectual cost of every affirmative, every negative. You had to find out the inevitable error in every yes and in every no, error and inseparable from life, life itself as conditioned by the perspective and its inaccuracy. Above all, you had to see with your own eyes where the error is always greatest. There, namely, where life is littlest, narrowest, meanest, least developed, and yet cannot help looking upon itself as the goal and standard of things, and smugly and ignobly and incessantly tearing to tatters all that is highest and greatest and richest, and putting the shreds into the form of questions from the standpoint of its own well-being. You had to see with your own eyes the problem of classification, and how strength and sweep and reach of perspective wax upward together. You had enough. The free spirit knows henceforward which you had. It has obeyed, and also what it now can do, and what it now, for the first time, dare. There's more to the preface, but I'll stop there. The powerful, timeless, just, for me, almost unbeatable words of the one true God, Friedrich Nietzsche. Much love to you all. See ya.